In a turbulent world, our global investment strategies need to keep up with the changing dynamics around us. TDK Ventures, the technology firm's venture capital arm, is taking a fresh look, particularly into so-called challenger technologies, to help tackle the world's most pressing climate challenges. I sat down here in Davos to talk to TDK Ventures President Nicolas Sauvage about a refreshed call for action. Nicolas, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us. First of all, who are TDK Ventures?
Thank you, Andrew, for having me. TDK Ventures is a corporate VC arm of TDK, the high-tech firm in Japan that has lived its mission of contributing to society and to the world through technology for the past 85 years. TDK Ventures is leading its mission and putting it forward as it puts $350 million to invest globally in early-stage startups, high-tech, that are working on the most important world's challenges. We are a global ecosystem, and we need innovations to come forward. And this is where entrepreneurs comes in. Whether they are working on electrification of the world, worldwide, or working on decarbonization or sustainable transformation and transportation, we really need entrepreneurs to bring that value forward. And this is where TDK Ventures, together with other investors and partners, we help entrepreneurs bring that mission forward.
So Nicolas, the last time we spoke, we talked all about new technologies and the role they have to play in affecting climate change. And presumably those technologies are still absolutely essential in terms of moving forward. But we've all been commenting on how 2024 is a year of turbulence. Geopolitics has changed, supply and demand is now a different game. How does that affect your approach to investing?
You're right, Andrew. There are many existing technologies that are crucial, like wind, solar, lithium-ion batteries for energy storage. They are still key for this action to climate. But with these geopolitics changes, we can see how we are moving from a globalized world to a fragmented world. And that's putting pressure on these existing technologies. And what we are looking at is what are the next technologies. Maybe they're not viably economical today, but they could bring a ray of hope in these geopolitical tensions.
So what you're saying is that the market that you're looking into is changing. You're looking at different areas.
Yes, I think we have to. We have to look at how we can help with climate change and resiliency with climate, with these technologies that we called challenger technologies. And with these challenger technologies, we could both have more resiliency as well as the ability to shift the need of critical materials that would no longer be available in a fragmented world and shift them towards materials we can have access to.
Can you give me an example of some of these challenger technologies?
So let's start with a very old example so that we can see this is not the first time. In 1975, Brazil had this biofuel initiative, the Pro-Alcohol Plan. And what they did is they planned to mix petrol with ethanol to reduce dependency on fossil fuel from other countries. And they invested heavily in R&D. They increased the cultivation of sugarcane. They increased capacity of ethanol plants. What that meant is that they managed to avoid this dependency on fossil fuels. That was the first type of challenger technologies. Now, if we look at different types of challenger technologies today, there are two types, and there are two rays of hopes, really. The first ray of hope is when you can recycle materials that are already inside the country. We invested, for example, in a company called Ascent Elements, which has this low-temperature recycling process for battery materials, high-value battery materials, that can be upcycled for reducing the need for mining of lithium, cobalt, and nickel. That's a challenger technology in itself. And Ascent Element recently received a unicorn valuation, which I see as a proof point of such challenger technology coming of age.
Is it fair to say then that the crises of the geopolitics at the moment around the world may produce unexpected positives for us, in that our behaviors will change in terms of wastage, in terms of recycling and so on. We may discover a silver lining, if you like.
Exactly. While it is very saddening to see all this tension in the world, it allows for the context for these challenger technologies to come to edge. And we see immense potential in fusion, for example, or energy storage. Let me give you an example of two investments we've made in challenger technologies, which are exactly about shifting the need for these materials that we may not have access as it was granted before. One is Peak Energy, which is commercializing sodium-ion battery solutions, which is tapping on a massive growing market demand for energy storage. The second one is Type 1 Energy, which is commercializing and developing nuclear fusion plant, which would be producing continuous green energy without the need for any more coal plant anymore in the future.
Is that what we call the circular economy?
It is, and actually I have another example about circular economy, or actually material circularity, which is PH7 Technologies, which is an amazing company based in Canada that has found a way to do a green solvent extraction process for copper and platinum group metals. And what that means is these materials are actually needed for electrification and hydrogen fuel solutions. And they are the materials that have been unrecyclable to date. And PH7 Technologies is finally creating the circularity of materials that was not possible before.
And with all these partnerships that you're forming and the kind of debates that go on here in Davos every year, do you find that you're moving in step with the international debate in terms of the circular economy, in terms of reusing energy, in terms of these things? Are you at the front of this kind of momentum?
Well, venture capital is all about identifying opportunities to invest early when it's not yet obvious. Clearly, the technology we invest in are very early stage. They are still very risky. They still need help. And part of our mission at TDK Ventures is not just to bring capital to these startups, but also bring value, added value, what we call TDK goodness, which could be a range of services like marketing and scaling and early proof points with pilots with TDK and their customers to make sure that they have the ability to commercialize and scale and get to the unit economics where when they scale, they can scale very, very big.
Are there specific technologies that you have a particular confidence in, or that you are seeing that you are absolutely certain need your support and your investment?
The example I mentioned about Type 1 Energy is one that I feel very strongly about. If we manage to make nuclear fusion work at scale, this is going to be such a drastic improvement to the world, to our planet. So I'm hoping that we find ways, us as venture capital, but also governments and citizens, to make sure that these new technologies that are really green, really important, get to the scalability where it can be deployed all around the world. So I think nuclear fusion is definitively one that's very important. But if I go back to Peak Energy with sodium-ion batteries, this is a place where we don't need lithium for everything. And there are some applications where sodium would actually be so much more appropriate and to scale to a point where we could have energy storage that works for wind and solar in a much better way.
So Nikolai, we talked a bit about Davos and the ideas here and the ideas that you have and how you're keeping in step with those. There was another example you wanted to give me of a company that you're working with like that.
Yeah, another example of investing that will advance the World Economic Forum initiatives and goal is our collaboration and investment in DVROD. This is a company that is working on these extreme water issues like flood and drought. They provide a global data solution that measures exactly the water levels and allows to anticipate and forecast this water risk in advance. And if you think about climate resiliency, this is a really important problem to tackle with water.
Are you encouraged by the fact that you keep discovering more entrepreneurs who keep coming up with solutions, who are by nature optimistic, or always looking at the possibilities rather than being intimidated by the future?
Actually, entrepreneurs is a fuel of innovation, and we like to call the entrepreneurs the impact scalers. And the reason is that it's their life's missions to bring positive impact to the world and to scale it. And in a way, VCs and CVCs are the impact scalers behind the impact scalers, because we want to bring them both capital and services and help for them to scale beyond that. And that's what we coined impact scaler squared, because if venture capital done well, we've got all these entrepreneurs being able to bring maximum impact to the world to the next level.
So Nicola, considering all that, what is TDK Ventures' message to the world in 2024?
Well, I hope by sharing the concept of challenger technologies more widely, including with you today, we inspire and mobilize entrepreneurs, investors, and governments in this crucial endeavor. My call for challenger technologies is for entrepreneurs to build them, for investors to invest in them, and for governments here to support their development and deployment. Together, we can turn the challenges of this fragmented world into opportunities for sustainable growth and a more sustainable, greener future.
Nicola, always a pleasure. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you, Andrew.